All right, we're moving to the text tool, and let's see. First thing is, I already have one here just as an example in case I forget, but there's two types. You can do vertical or type tool. I'm not going to bother with the masks ones. We don't need to know about that stuff quite yet. So vertical or horizontal, and then it comes up as a layer that's independent of everything else, like most things. And you can change the font, you can change the font family, you can change font size, color. The one up here that I want to show you, and to do that I gotta get kind of close, is this has no sharpening at all on it right now. Watch when I change it to sharp. It's down here, it gets a little, it barely changed at all, but you can see like it kind of left a little bit of a ridge. This one, we're gonna switch to, sorry, it's being really stubborn, crisp. Oh, come on. And again, that one, it just a slight bit of roughness on the edge. You might notice it on some fonts more than others, just depending on what the curves are like. Strong. You can see that that edge just changed a tiny bit. And finally, smooth. And there really wasn't that drastic of a change here. So for most text in most situations, you won't have to worry about it too much. But if your text looks jagged, then that tells you that you might need to go and check something up there. Now I'm just going to do new text so you can see the process. So you click on the T tool and then go ahead and type in there. It immediately puts lorem ipsum text in there just so you can see text, and then you can basically type over it. So let's just move this over. If you place text in a funny spot, use the move tool to switch it to where you would like it to go. And then to make changes to text that you have typed out, you just need to double click on it on the T part itself. If you double click over here, it'll want you to rename the layer rather than change the actual text. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change the color. Now you can also, if you have the color picker up, you can actually shift off of that palette and just go over here and you can choose a different color. We can choose purple. That might show up better against the green. So that's that. Color wise, it's pretty easy to change that stuff. Over here we have more options. You've got your regular paragraph stuff here. You also have it here. So if you want something other than middle, there you go. And excuse me, and then for character, beyond the basic stuff of font size, you can change, if you had double line, you could change, I'll just go ahead and do that so you can see. It's really slow while I'm recording with video. It's something a little bit unexpected. All right, so right now, as you can see, there's two, but the text is definitely too close together. So oftentimes auto will fix that. It probably usually is on auto. I was just messing with things. So that's what auto looks like, but it's quite severe. And so you might want to really reduce that. If it's 200, if you get closer to 150, it'll that's better. Probably be more like 100. So just know that you're not stuck with the default. You can modify that distance, which we call leading. In the the world of Word, that would be called something else. Oops, too many numbers. Basically it's called what? Spacing, paragraph spacing, I think. So, now that's closer. You can technically change the color of just one part. They can kind of be independent of each other. I'm somehow accidentally making more text boxes because this is so slow. It won't be this slow on your end. That's just something about the recording for text I've noticed that's, for whatever reason, is very troublesome. All right, well, we'll just leave it at that because it's taking so long. Okay, all right. So we know how to change this stuff. The other thing you can do is to actually choose just one to modify the color of, instead of having two lines. Wow, it really just does not like me right now. I'll let that be. Okay, so the other thing up here, what you can do is to modify the way that it looks. Now, typically, any kind of this sort of thing we do in Illustrator, but if you're in a pinch and only have Photoshop, these are some possibilities. So you can kind of modify horizontal distortion and vertical distortion. There's lots of ways to play. Don't play too much or you will lose your legibility. But you get the idea. You can certainly play in a lot of different ways within these warp text possibilities. And then finally, I guess I would say sometimes text is a little bit hard to see, especially against photographic backgrounds. So if you double click on the edge, or if you go up to layer, you can do layer styles. And typically I do strokes to try to get stuff to pop. You can also do simple things like drop shadows. And when you click on them here, like stroke, I can change the size of it. I can determine if it's on the outside, if it's on the center, if it's on the, there's different things you can do here. You can also change the color. Ooh, that's terrible. Okay, let's just do white. And then drop shadows, you can change the color. It doesn't have to be black. It could technically be like a green. You can change where the drop shadow's at. Oops, got my kiddo in here now. You can change the spread, you can change the direction. There's lots of things you can play with here, but those things sometimes have to happen if you've got text, just to make sure that they can withstand their backgrounds. Okay, so that's basically it for the shapes. Now in here we also have a line tool. Mommy, and a line tool is what you would expect. It is an outline, or let me just see if I can get this a little bit bigger. This one is really, really tiny. It's green. And let me bring up the properties area. All right. We got green. We've got all those different ways that it can behave. And let's make a new one so you can see a different possibility. So here we've got green, right? And you can change this again as long as you are on the tool. You can change it to purple. You could make it fatter. Let's see, it's only 9. Let's do it like 20. So it gets a bit fatter. You can change the thickness. Now for stroke, you gotta make sure you know where. You can do different types of lines, dashed, straight, thickness, like I mentioned. So there's a few different things you can do here. Let's make a new one though. Make it a little bit fatter, like I dictated. So it's gonna be, well, that was the 20. And then again, if you need to change something, we could change the color here. So, but you just have to remember that the weight is how fat that line is. The stroke is here. That's the number that's controlling the overall. Now, this must be on the inside. I don't want the, well, that's not important. I don't love the way that the line is on the inside, but that's what it is right now. All right, so that's the line, and then let's go over now to, last thing on this list is the custom shape tool. Go ahead and delete these lines. So once you click on this, the regular shape stuff pops up here. This is where you can change the type of shape. They're basically clip art. That's probably the easiest ways to think about it. Now, knowing that they're clip art, that means everybody who has access to Photoshop also has access. I have the Shift key on, by the way, to get that shape. You know, everybody has the ability to do this, right? So you might want to be careful in your decisions about that. So there's a tree. The other ones that we can find, you know, you can just kind of look around and decide what you like. There's some basic ones. Yeah. And again, hold the Shift key down if you want something to look more perfect. Change the color if you want something different. And so there, I mean, it's a shape. It's an editable shape. You can change, you know, quite a few things about it. If you want to change the properties, just remember that you will need to make sure that you're on the actual layer, and then you get to modify the different shape types. And I think that's probably about it. Yeah, for basic shapes, this will do it. Contact me if you have more questions about them.